All right, let's talk about making a custom jig. I'm gonna go from start to finish, what you need. This is how I do it. There's multiple ways to do it, but this is what I found to be the easiest way. You need a pair of needle nose pliers. You need a little O-ring. O-ring about the size that's a little bigger than the collar of your typical jig is what I'm gonna use. You're going to need, obviously, some skirt material, a pair of scissors, needle nose again, or these little locking things I like to, and I'll show you what I use these for. That's with the skirt. Shrink tubing, and a jig. So let me show you what I do. I like to add a second collar to that. Let me show you one that's done. But I like to add a second collar to that. So then I got a collar on, or one on top and bottom. And I started doing this year. And it's really saved my plastics a lot. I mean, I've not gone through that many trailers when doing that. This year I really threw that swim jig a lot. And I do it on all my jigs too. So all my jig trailers, same thing. Every jig I do, it really saves the jig trailers. So basically, I'm going to add that little deal to hold your trailer. So obviously, I'm going to just modify this. I always trim that. That's too tall for me. I like just above. Just above, not too much. All right, so it's ready to go. I'm going to just put this in this vise. So, of course, I need a bobbin. I forgot to tell you, you need a bobbin or something to hold the thread. Super glue. Super glue is just going to go on this. The super glue is going to hold that thread on there. I put the thread on there to hold the shrink tubing because I was just putting glue without the thread, and that glue was not hold. It held for a little bit, and then the shrink tube started sliding up and down. Once I changed it to the thread, it doesn't unravel or it doesn't come off. It's a little weird. I'm going the opposite side. I normally go the other side, but there's a bright light in my basement. So I'm just going to go around. This is just going to create some texture so that shrink tubing has something to hold on to. And you don't have to be neat or anything. This is basically just something so it has something to hold on to. And I'll just put enough where you can just see it standing, coming off just a little bit, like a little pointer or deal. And then at the end of this, I'll put some more super glue on that. And that should be good. Cut that off. Put some more super glue on it, just on the very outside of that. And now you're going to take I like three 32nd size shrink tubing. And I cut I don't know, that's 3/4 of an inch maybe. But I'm going to cut it at an angle. That's going to create your point on your jig. So now I'm going to take this off. Now I want that point to be on the downside. So that point is going to be there. Slide it over the thread. Now you're going to take the shrink tubing and just pull that tip with your finger. You're going to probably get a little super glue on it, but that's fine. And that's it. Now it's on there. That's going to create a double barb system to hold your plastics on. That has saved me absolutely a ton of money this year, and I've been doing it for a number of years, but I was doing some other stuff with like really thick monofilament, a lot more labor intensive. This doesn't take much, and it's very easy to do it after you buy a jig. I mean, any jig you buy, whatever brand it is, you can always do that really easy. And it, again, I can't stress you enough that how much money I've saved on jig trailers by using that. So now we got to make our skirt. So I usually, it's a swim jig, maybe 2 to 2.5 skirt tabs. So this is your basic skirt tab you buy. This is one. And then I think I'm going to do some white and silver. I don't get fancy with my colors. Swim jig, I have pretty much 4 colors I throw. White, solid white, white chartreuse, black, blue, and green pumpkin. If you can't get bit with those colors, then you can't get bit anywhere. And I guess maybe I do have some custom ones for bluegill and that kind of thing, but the green pumpkin is pretty close to that. So I got my white. I'm going to add, so right now that's 2, and then I'm going to add just a little solid white, and I'm going to do like a quarter tab on that. So just take a little bit of that. That's about a quarter. And that's pretty much it. Now you're going to take that O-ring I was telling you about in your needle nose. This one's nice because it actually has a spring on it, and it helps spread that. So you're just going to slide that O-ring on like that. This is just going to take that skirt material, going to grab the skirt, all the skirts, and just slide that O-ring onto that. Now that's just, you're going to eventually take that off because all that's going to do is just hold that, all the skirt material in place so you can slide it on the jig. So you take your jig, slide that on, make sure when you slide it on, now go around, make sure it's all nice and even around that, so there's no open spots or, so that looks pretty good. There's one little, okay. So now you're ready to wrap that. See, it's nice and even all the way around. And now you're going to wrap that. And then a lot of times I'll just take some electrical tape or whatever tape you want to use. But electrical tape, it's pretty easy to unstick itself from the tape. So I'm just going to take that and hold that. That's kind of holding the stuff out of the way. Sometimes you can put one on the back side too if it's hanging down. So let's do that. So now everything's out of the way. Got my piece of wire. This just happens to be Cat 6 wire. You can get that at Home Depot, Lowe's, Menards, True Value. You can buy it by the feet. If you get like 5 feet, it's going to last you a while. There's 8 wires that are all wrapped like that. You just got to cut it and then unravel it, of course, because it's tightly woven in there, if you can see it. So then you're going to take them off individually and then just strip back the plastic sheathing on it, and you're just going to be left with this copper wire. So the copper wire is now going to be what you're going to use to wrap your jig. I usually go 3 or 4 times. It depends. Most of the time I just go 3. And then I got that, I can move that O-ring out of the way. Give it a twist right at the end. So now I'm going to cut the excess off. Now this is what these locking ones. So I take that little twist and now I'm going to pull that until tight. And now I'm going to twist it like that until you see that copper wire get really close to the collar. And once it's like that, it's tight enough, you can take your scissors, cut it. That little tag, you're just going to push it up towards the weed guard. Take your tape off. Take your O-ring off now, and then I'll cut that off. O-ring put down there. And that is your swim jig. And I'll trim that a little better. Like that. So that is a nice little swim jig. Custom made, you can make any colors you want. That's why I like doing it. A lot of times I'll actually make them on the boat. This thing I can mount this to the lid of my boat, and I can make custom crawfish colors, custom shad. I can put some blue in it if there's a little blue hue of the shad or whatever you're fishing. I can always make custom ones, but that's why I love doing this. It's fun. Plus, what else is there to do? It's cold outside, and I think it's snowing right now, and it's winter up here in Minnesota, so I need to make jigs, and some more jigs. So if you want to learn how to do it, once you can learn how to do it, you can make these really quick and fast. And plus it's fun catching stuff on lures that you actually made yourself. So you can buy all the stuff at numerous things. Tackle Warehouse, Fishing Skirt has all. Fishing Skirts is actually owns, I guess they own Boss Tackle. So those guys is where I get all my jig heads from. And they have great hooks, great paint jobs. They don't chip. So, or any jigs you want to do. You can redo your own jigs. If you got some old jigs, skirts falling apart, you can redo them and do them like this. So, it's fun. Give it a try. You'll probably enjoy it.